What is the difference when I say something or you say something and when God says something? What's the difference? Yes, sir. Yes, we could say something false. God never speaks falsehood. That's true. How about this? Watch this. You ready for this? Let it be night. Everybody look out the window. Is it night? No. Did it happen? No. And what if God No, it did not. Now what if God from the heavens said that? Would it be night? You bet your bottom dollar it would. Let's go through a couple things in the scriptures that when God speaks, and you tell me what happens, okay? Let there be light. What happened? Anyone? Yes, Emma. There was light, that's right. When Jesus says, so literally imagine, there's a 12-year-old girl. She's dead. Imagine going to a funeral. And all of a sudden Jesus walks up and he says, little girl, I tell you, arise. What happens? She comes back to life. I mean, literally think about that. Everyone would be like, wait, what? This is the weirdest wake I've ever been to. Or there's someone that's sick. And Jesus says to them, go and be healed of your affliction. What happens when he says that? Completely healed. Yep. Okay, a couple more. Today, what did we hear? We hear the story where there's a bunch of waves, there's a bunch of storms on the water. And Jesus, he doesn't say in this passage, but he says it elsewhere in the gospel, he wakes up and he says, quiet, be still. What happens? Front row over here, McCarthy. What happens when he says, quiet, be still? The storm stops. That doesn't happen when I do it. I tried to do that yesterday and it didn't work. All right, now here's another one. When I'm at this altar today, it's not me who's saying these words, but when he says, this is my body, what happens? Yes, sir. Yeah, when God speaks, it happens. Here's the last one. When Jesus says to you in confession, I absolve you from your sins, what happens to your soul? Yes, ma'am. Your sins are forgiven. I don't think we understand how big of a deal that is. I don't think we understand how big of a deal. So what's easier? Is it easier to make something out of scratch or to take something that's broken and try to put it back together again? Ooh, you think? I think the opposite. Do you know how hard it is to repair glass that's been broken rather than just make glass from scratch? Fixing something that's broken is hard. It takes a lot of power. And when Jesus says to you in confession, I have forgiven you of your sins, go in peace, it happens. Here's something we need to know about how our world works. In the world, whatever, you go online, you talk to people, they'll say, whatever, you do you, man, be free, you do you. You can do whatever you want. There's no rules. But then, if you go too far, what happens? You ever heard of people being canceled? You laugh, but it's true. You can do whatever you want, but if you go too far, I'll never forgive you. That is the exact opposite of what Jesus says to us. Jesus says, I actually have rules. And not because I want to make your life miserable, like Golden Toes. But the reason why I have rules is because I want to keep you safe. But guess what? If you fall, if you break one of those rules and you come back to me, I will always, 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 always forgive you. Tonight, you're going to have an opportunity to go to confession. And I just need to say from the outset, that might make some of you nervous. If you have ever had a bad experience in confession, just on behalf of that priest, I am so sorry. If you have ever been treated poorly in confession, if you have not been met with the forgiveness and gentleness of God, I am sorry. That is not how the Lord treats you. Tonight, when you go to confession, this isn't about shame. I mean, the world looks in and they're like, you crazy Catholics, you go into this weird box and then it's like a shame fest and you're wagging fingers and look what you did, look what you... That's not what this is about at all. Going to confession is not about shame. It's about freedom. When we commit sin, it weighs on us. I remember as a kid, there were certain things, and I carried them for years. Just to give you a little backstory, Father Paul talked about last night in his homily, he was bullied in high school, or middle school, I'm sorry. So in grade school, kids picked on me all the time. I couldn't read. They'd go out to recess and they'd stutter when I would stutter and read. And I just felt so alone. And then, how did I deal with that? When I got to high school, I got some friends. I started to read a little bit better. And how did I try to deal with that pain? I became a bully myself. Some of my best friends, I was so mean. I could turn people against them. It was almost like I could speak and there would be something bad that would happen for them. And I was so self-conscious about this. I was actually hurt inside, but I was being mean, so mean. And eventually one day it hit me. I'm like destroying these people. You know, we talked about St. Paul. He's a murderer. He consented to the murders of people, like in the body. I was killing people's souls with my words. I went to my friends. All of a sudden I woke up and I just started to cry. I was in prayer and I started to cry. I'm like, oh my gosh, what those kids did to me as a little kid, I'm now doing to other people. I've become like a monster, honestly. I hate who I've become. I've become exactly what I despise. I texted them that night. They forgave me immediately. That weekend, they invited me to their party. They forgave me immediately. It wasn't even a second thought. I felt so guilty. I hadn't even forgiven myself, and they forgave me. When you go to confession tonight, maybe there's something in your life where you have done something wrong. You treated someone poorly, spoken about someone poorly. Maybe it's something serious. Don't hold back. You get the opportunity to go before the Lord and say exactly what you did, not to shame you, but to give him access. If I have a broken arm, everybody make a broken arm. If I have a broken arm and I don't bring that to the doctor, can the doctor help heal me? What do you think? No. Yes or no? No. Even if you have sins, if you do not bring them to the doctor, he can't heal you. You need to give him permission to heal you. You need to give him access to your hearts. You need, and I need, when we do things wrong, people are like, can't I just tell Jesus my sins in my heart? Yes, I hope you do. But why do we go to confession? Do you know how freeing it is to have someone look you in the eyes? They've seen every single thing that you've done and say, I still love you. I haven't given up on you. Like even psychologically, I'm not even talking spiritually, but like psychologically, do you know how healing that is for a person? There is a reason why God is having us do this. There is more power in one confession than 100 exorcisms. I even heard this said. I don't know what saint said it, so if it's wrong, you can boo me later. They said there's more power released from God in one confession than in the entire creation of the world. Because in creation, he was creating. In us, he's taking something that's dead and bringing it back to life. My brothers and sisters, when God says, I absolve you from your sins, he means it. Tonight, what an amazing experience we're going to be able to have. Bringing that backpack filled with rocks, putting it at Jesus' feet, and walking away light.